Well, the Bank of Canada increasing their key interest rate yesterday once again. There is lots of talk about when it comes to a possible recession. What does that mean if you're an employee at this point, which many people are? Employment lawyer Alex Lucifero joins us now to talk about this. Alex, speculation as we talk about what's going to happen with the markets, where we're going to go. Let's talk about it and what employees need to know or what you can do during a recession. So one of the big questions might be, can your pay or can your job be changed as a result of a recession or any financial difficulties that a company might face?
Yeah, it's a fair question, Matt. And as employment lawyers, we're often the canaries in the coal mine, so to speak, when it comes to recessions. And listen, hopefully it doesn't come to pass. But I can tell you from our experience thus far, we are seeing employers already batten down the hatches, restructure their operations, and that is going to result in some job losses. If your employer is approaching you and due to economic reasons, they're suggesting a cut in your pay, for example, or a change in your position, you should know as an employee that your employer requires your consent in order to make those kinds of significant changes. So you have the right to potentially refuse significant changes to the terms of your employment, whether they're your pay or a change in your position, or perhaps contractually, you may want to have a look at your employment contract. If you've signed an employment contract recently, your employer may be allowed to implement those changes contractually, but do know that you have the right. It's what we call a constructive dismissal. It effectively means a breach of contract in the employment law context.
Right, and I guess, and we've heard that term before. Now, what about when it comes to, with the economic downturn, is it still a constructive dismissal? Like, an employer can't use an economic downturn as a way to fire someone or to let go an employee?
Well, that's a more interesting question, Matt, in the sense that technically, yes, an employer can let you go if, as a result of an economic downturn. The reality is, as long as the decision to let you go isn't discriminatory in any kind of way, so as long as it's not based on any protected human rights ground, your employer can let you go really for no reason at all, provided, however, they pay the proper amount of severance. So severance is the legal recourse that an employee has in the event of a termination. Severance is usually based on an employee's age, position, and years of service, and it really can range to as much as 24 months of pay for more senior employees and typically older employees.
And again, would severance, just before I let you go too, would severance be affected if it was because of the reason for dismissal or not usually?
Well, if it's for economic reasons, the answer is no. So an employer still has the same severance obligation, even if, for example, it's struggling financially. And of course, that might feel unfair to the employer, but that doesn't change really the analysis from the employee's point of view. Again, if the analysis is their age, position, and years of service, that severance analysis doesn't change based on the employee's financial circumstances, except, Matt, how in the event of a bankruptcy. That is a worst case scenario for employees. When an employer claims bankruptcy, they are a creditor like anyone else, and that means they're likely going to get cents on the dollar, even when it comes to severance.
Okay, always good information for people. Alex Lucifero, appreciate your time as always. Thank you for this, sir.
Thank you, Matt.